life and prophetic ministry of Isaiah, a significant figure in the ancient history of Israel. Born circa 765 BC in Jerusalem, Isaiah emerged not merely as a conventional prophet, but as one of the major prophets of the Old Testament, alongside revered figures like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Operating during a tumultuous period in the kingdom of Judah under the reigns of various monarchs, Ahaz, Hezekiah, Manasseh, among others, Isaiah's prophetic voice resonated with unparalleled strength. His ministry coincided with a time of crisis spurred by the aggressive expansion of the Assyrian Empire. Isaiah's legacy endures through the biblical book named after him, which encapsulates his divine visions and words. The era he navigated was characterized by widespread apostasy, a notable abandonment of faith and religious practices among the Israelites. In the opening chapter of his book, Isaiah conveys a vision from God admonishing the people for their ungodly actions and rebellion. This state of spiritual estrangement did not evade divine notice. Isaiah's prophetic words vividly illustrate the severity of Israel's transgressions, likening them to the disobedience of the ox and the donkey. Moreover, the moral decay in Israel drew comparisons to the infamous cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, notorious for their depravity. Thus, Isaiah emerged as a beacon of divine truth during this dark period, delivering not only judgments and reprimands, but also messages of hope and redemption for a wayward people. Even Isaiah's passing is imbued with teachings and narratives that have endured through the ages. In ancient Israel, the prevalent sins and transgressions stemmed from a lack of compassion and empathy, despite outward displays of religious fervor. Jehovah's weariness towards such behavior is palpable. He desired not sacrifices and offerings, but rather acts of kindness and justice, protection for the vulnerable, and advocacy for the oppressed. Within this context, Isaiah's life and ministry unfolded. Although his prophecies unfailingly came to pass, Isaiah's messages were expansive, often foretelling events related to Jesus long before their occurrence. Aptly earning the epithet the evangelist among the prophets, Isaiah's focus on messianic prophecies was profound. Yet, his primary mission remained rooted in the prophetic exhortation and correction of contemporary wrongs. Despite his effectiveness in forming disciples and establishing a school of prophets, Isaiah faced vehement opposition from the power structures of his time, inspired by divine mandate. He strongly condemned the decisions of the king and foresaw impending tragedies for the Israelite people if they persisted in that direction. The alliances formed with neighboring nations, driven by the pursuit of power, did not align with Jehovah's desires. He sought Israel to prioritize seeking him first, but the prophet Isaiah's proclamations fell on deaf ears. The situation intensified with the ascent of King Manasseh to the throne. Not only did this king reject the ways of the God of his father, but he also chose to worship Satan and his powerful angels, dedicating his heart to serving Belial, an angel associated with anarchy. Manasseh's reign marked a deepening apostasy in Jerusalem, leading to the proliferation of practices such as witchcraft, magic, divination, fornication, and adultery. The persecution of the righteous escalated as well. According to ancient Jewish tradition, Manasseh, fueled by his disdain for Isaiah's words and the inconvenience of his prophecies, initiated a ruthless persecution against the prophet. Accounts recount that Manasseh, immersed in wickedness, triggered a violent persecution against the righteous. In the case of Isaiah, the fate was brutal. Falsely accused by a deceptive prophet of speaking inflammatory words about Jerusalem and the princes of Judah, Isaiah faced a gruesome death, being sawn into pieces. The life and death of Isaiah provide a chilling narrative, but also offer valuable teachings on integrity, courage, and firmness in communicating the truth despite persecution and suffering. While his end was tragic, his legacy and words have transcended through the centuries. Even today, his prophecy and lessons resonate in the hearts of many. The biblical narrative unfolds with accounts that not only emphasize faith and devotion, but also shed light on the persecution and extreme suffering endured by the faithful due to their loyalty to God. The Apostle Paul, in the Epistle to the Hebrews, acknowledges and honors those who faced tragic fates at the hands of their persecutors. In Hebrews 11:37, Paul vividly reminds us, "They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were slain with the sword." This verse becomes a mosaic of memory and sadness, alluding, among other stories, to the tragic fate of the prophet Isaiah. The word sawn in two is commonly interpreted as a direct reference to Isaiah's brutal death. The book Ascension of Isaiah narrates that while Isaiah was being sawn in two, false prophets mocked him. However, Isaiah, far from surrendering to pain or fear, displayed resilience and an unbreakable faith. He did not cry, he did not scream, and the Holy Spirit spoke through him until his life was violently cut in two. This stands as a powerful testimony of unwavering faith and devotion, even in the face of extreme suffering. Israel's treatment of the prophets sent by God to guide and correct them has often been remembered for its harshness. Jesus, lamenting this reality in Matthew 23:37, says, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not." Jesus expresses palpable sadness for the city's continued resistance and rebellion against God's messengers and their messages. These tales of tragic farewells and extreme suffering prompt us to reflect on commitment, faith, and sacrifice. The prophets and apostles of old faced persecutions, floggings, imprisonments, stonings, and, in Isaiah's case, an immensely violent end being sawn in half. In the face of such adversity, it becomes a moment to introspect. Would we have kept our faith intact? Would we, like Isaiah, have allowed the Holy Spirit to speak through us in moments of indescribable pain? As we conclude this reflection, it leaves us with profound thoughts, inviting you to share your reflections and feelings about this tragic yet simultaneously inspiring story of unbreakable faith. Until next time, may God bless you.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.